All right, let's jump right in. What's the real football? I mean, here in the States, when you say football, you immediately picture the NFL. Pads, helmets, touchdowns, and all that excitement.
Yeah, but I'm telling you, the real football, the beautiful game, is what's played on a global scale. 11 players, a round ball, goals, and passion that's been around for centuries.
Sure, but here, clarity counts. I mean, why not use soccer when we're talking about that global sport? It avoids any mix-ups with our supercharged NFL matchups.
I get that, but think about it. Football, as a term, is understood everywhere else. It carries history, tradition, and a kind of, cultural identity that stretches from the dusty fields of Brazil to the grand arenas in Europe.
Absolutely. The global vibe is undeniable.
Right.
But in the US, our football isn't just a sport. It's a ritual. It's the college rivalries, the Super Bowl parties, and those billions in revenue. When I say soccer, it just sets things straight here.
Right. But then, why should we let local convenience override global history? I mean, football is a term that pays homage to medieval matches, to centuries-old traditions.
That's interesting, but think about it. Soccer isn't an American invention. Believe it or not, the word actually stems from England, a little slang contraction from association football.
True. But then again, football itself evolved from various forms of traditional ball games played in villages long ago. It's like a tapestry woven through time, from those old medieval games right up to modern stadium roars.
Exactly, but here's the twist. American football actually grew out of those same traditions, evolving from rugby football, you know? It's like the same roots branching out in a different direction.
But, don't you think calling it something else just caters to local habits? I mean, globally, association football is the standard. Over 200 countries play it and identify with it as football. This isn't just semantics. It's about staying true to a universal identity.
I hear you, but numbers and identity aside, American football's massive here. Not just in scope, but in cultural impact. The NFL, man, it's like strategic warfare on a gridiron. It's total intensity with huge hits and epic plays.
Strategy? For me, the global football is also strategic, a blend of precision, endurance, and tactics over 90 minutes that make it accessible to anyone with a ball and a patch of dirt. It's almost poetic, really.
Sure, but consider this. Our game is like chess in motion, with calculated plays, creative trickery, and a physicality that's unmatched. And hey, we even use the feet sometimes for punts and kicks in our game.
But let's be honest, feet are indispensable in global football. In American football, most of the game revolves around throwing and running. It almost begs the question, why don't we call it handball when you're mainly using your arms?
Whoa, come on now. I get that it might seem like that, but American football is its own universe, packed with traditions like Thanksgiving games, high school rivalries, and really, it's a cultural staple. Changing the name would feel like erasing a whole heritage.
I see that, but then why should the global term be altered to fit one region's custom? Imagine insisting that biscuit means cookies everywhere instead of what it means locally. It just, doesn't respect the bigger picture.
Fair point. And look, I'm not trying to erase global traditions. I just think context matters. In the US, when someone drops football, people automatically conjure up images of quarterbacks, tackles, and a specific kind of gridiron legacy.
So why not simply say American football to bridge that gap? That way, your Super Bowl and our World Cup can coexist side by side.
That's an idea, but then you'd have to change decades of vernacular. I mean, soccer works like a neat label here. It avoids confusion and respects what we've grown up with, like a linguistic anchor for our local sports culture.
Sure, but here's my challenge. Don't you think clinging to a term like soccer is almost a concession? It's like saying, we're not really part of the global tradition. It might work locally, but globally, it diminishes the shared passion of billions.
I get the critique, but consider this. American football's popularity isn't limited to regional boundaries. Our games, with their billions in NFL revenue, hold their own on the world stage, even if our sport, as a concept, is different from the global one.
True, but look at the numbers. The World Cup pulls over 1 billion viewers, and it's played by a vast majority of countries. It's sort of a unifying term that encapsulates an age-old tradition.
You're not wrong there, but
Yeah.
maybe we can view it like this. Each version of football, American and global, evokes a different kind of love. One is the roar of a stadium after a goal, and the other is the crunch of a tackle and the thrill of a last-second touchdown.
That's a compelling comparison. And it reminds me that context really shapes our adoration of the sport. I mean, our definition of football carries with it, like, a whole cultural mythology that spans continents.
Exactly. And isn't it kind of amazing that we can both be so passionate about our versions? It's like having two parallel universes where each game, whether it's called football or soccer, holds deep personal meaning.
Absolutely. And that duality reflects the complexity of language and culture. For instance, kids in Brazil shout goal at each incredible play, while here, fans might be more into the tactical breakdown of every touchdown. Both are football in their own right.
Right, and let's not forget the historical layers here. The fact that soccer emerged as a term because our version of football was already popular in America shows that language adapts to, like, fill a need, and that's totally natural.
But if we look back, association football was codified in the 1860s, creating a clear, original form of the sport. American football, meanwhile, evolved later, almost like a divergence from a common ancestor. Should the descendant really overwrite the parent's legacy on a global scale?
Well, maybe not overwrite, but rather coexist. I mean, we get to enjoy both, the global football and our uniquely American football that, in its own way, deserves the title. It's like having two favorite flavors of the same ice cream.
Interesting analogy there. But then again, if we're talking ice cream, shouldn't the flavor with the richest history be the standard? I mean, association football is like vanilla, the classic recipe that's been around forever.
Hey, even vanilla has its variations, right? And sometimes you want a twist, like chocolate chip or something else entirely. American football might be the chocolate chip version, a bold twist on tradition that's just as valid.
That's a fun way to look at it. Yet, I have to ask, don't you think it becomes problematic when we insist on different names? The global audience ends up like splitting our cultural identity. It creates bubbles where context rules over common language.
True, and I can see that side of it. But if we respect both terms and let them define distinct experiences in different regions, then maybe we're just celebrating diversity in sport rather than dividing it.
Yeah, I suppose that's a reasonable compromise. Each context can define its own football. For me, nothing beats the pure, raw passion of when a goal is scored on that vast, open pitch, a universal joy.
And for me, there's nothing like the epic clash on the gridiron, the strategic complexity, the thunderous hits, and that final moment when the game is won with a last-second touchdown.
Absolutely. I mean, every sport has its heartbeat, its own measure of greatness. And let's be real, when you call your game football in America, people scratch their heads and think of quarterbacks and helmets. It's just a cultural twist.
Exactly. It's all about context. And, if I may challenge you just a bit, don't you think that insisting our global game be called football everywhere overlooks the rich local traditions here in the States? It feels a bit like, imposing one narrative over another.
Fair enough, I can see that. I mean, culture is like so intertwined with our language and our identity. Perhaps the solution isn't to force one term upon everyone, but to let each version stand as a testament to its own history.
Precisely. It's like acknowledging that our love for the game can exist in multiple forms without one being better than the other, just different shades of passion.
And that's what makes sports so fascinating, right? Two worlds, same spirit. It's like saying, you enjoy your chocolate chip and I'll have my vanilla, but we're both still enjoying ice cream in our own way.
Exactly. And even though the debate might seem like a linguistic tiff, it's actually about how deeply our identities are tied to the games we love. Whether it's the crunch of a tackle or the thrill of a goal, both terms capture moments of pure excitement.
I love that perspective. Instead of arguing over labels, we can celebrate that both sports bring communities together. In our global village, why not let context make the call?
Right on. And sometimes I think it's just fun to have this little cultural banter. It reminds us that ultimately we're all united by our love of competition, drama, and, well, the game itself, however you wish to call it.
Couldn't agree more. Whether you shout football and picture epic NFL play or soccer and envision a world buzzing with universal passion, each term carries its own magic.
So, let's just agree. In our own bubbles, we cherish what we love. And next time we get into a debate, we might even enjoy watching each other's game. If only for the cultural exchange.
Yeah.
Game on.